Okay, so I guess we still have to work out some kinks on the driving options for dragons, the self-driving options. Am I right to understand that Arrax and Vhagar took matters into their own hands in that scene? Because they basically have, in that final scene, or in that final set piece, both Luke and Aemon seem to be trying to get their dragons under control and lose control of them.
Yeah, most of us are not fluent in Valyrian, yours truly included. But a phrase that a lot of us know is Valadoris, right? All men must serve, and like Doara is that's the verb that they're both shouting, like obey me to their dragons as their dragons are out of control. And this and maybe one other thing are the thing that book readers have the biggest question mark about out of this episode, because this is a battle that takes place on a dark and stormy night, as you said, or I guess mid-afternoon.
It's hard to tell in Storm's End, yeah.
Over Shipbreaker's Bay. And so you only have like Aemon's word for it, what happened out there, right? Because folks on shore just squinting into the cloud cover, seeing two dragons go at it. But I think... So this is, you could call it a change, or if Aemon comes back and claims he did it on purpose, which is sort of what the Inside the Episode interview sort of implies, that he might come back and be like, yeah, I meant to do that. I think what this is leaning into is that Viserys quote we got in the very first episode this season.
Exactly.
When he says everyone, and Rhaenyra says something similar in this episode. Everyone says Targaryens are closer to gods than to men, but they say that because of our dragons. Without them, we're just like everyone else. The idea that we control the dragons is an illusion. They're a power man should never have trifled with, one that brought Valyria its doom. If we don't mind our own histories, it will do the same to us. Targaryens must understand this to be king or queen. And so I think the thesis statement, apparently, of this series is just sort of like, how can you have dragon peace? You can only have dragon wars because of the nature of dragons, and the nature of people like a Daemon who believes in taking the dragon approach to the world. Dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did. He believes, he's fully bought in to this idea, but it's
he's hawkish about dragons.
But even even from a little baby like Arrax, whatever we want to call Luke's dragon.
Sweet little Bubba.
To a veteran, a war vet like Vhagar, a war criminal herself, Vhagar. There's only so much a Targaryen can do on top of those beasts. So it's interesting.
Mal, Joe, mentioned that it deviates from what people thought they understood about what happened in the skies above Storm's End, right? Like that this was explicitly Aemon kills Luke. And now it kind of makes it seem like, do you think that the show was doing a little character softening of Aemon? Aemon? I don't know why I called him Aemon. Aemon? Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think there are a couple through lines of the season that feel increasingly clear after watching that climactic, very sad and harrowing sequence. One of them is the one that Joe just mentioned, this real theme of the capricious nature of dragons and the hubris of trying to control them, of thinking you can. The Viserys quote that Joe read was the one on my mind most watching that episode. And I was also thinking of the caprice of dragons who can know the mind of such a beast, which is the fire and bloodline, when Aemon claims Vhagar. And the other, I think that this, like, the subtle updating here of how much of this was outright intentional murder in the fire and blood account and how much of this was a mistake, I think is, even though these are different situations, a little bit of a piece with Alicent's misinterpretation of Viserys's final words, and the fact that these characters cannot totally wrap their arms around a conversation, let alone a dragon, right? And that really heightens the tragedy. I'm curious to see, much like in the wake of episode 9, the response to that, Alicent's interpretation of Viserys' final words. I'm curious to see what the response is to this Aemon thing. But I think it just makes this even more deeply, deeply sad. And, if you go back and look at the passages, on the one hand, I will have your eye or your life strong. There's not like a ton of wiggle room there. However, I think that the actual fight above Shipbreaker Bay is, as Joe noted, observed from afar. How can it not be? And so this is this larger through line as well of the way that history makes its way down across the word of mouth into the printed page, into our hands as readers and viewers. So I think that there's a way that this tracks and really heightens the family unit just disintegrating in front of us, a theme that is also heightened in episodes 9 and 10 as these teams and factions that should be working toward common cause are constantly at odds with each other. There's a lot of human error there, and then you're trying to wrap your arms around magic.
To hear more from this conversation, follow the Ringerverse on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.